Have you ever been in the middle of a heated argument only to realize you and your partner were completely talking right past each other? Communication breakdowns happen every single day, all the time, but they don't have to wreck everything. Today's episode, we're diving into why these breakdowns happen in the first place, from overwhelming emotions to bad listening habits, and we're sharing some real strategies to fix it. If you're tired of feeling misunderstood or just want to level up your communication skills, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas.
Really?
Welcome to the Home to Haven podcast. You're in the right place because you want faith-filled content. Faithful content to help you communicate in your marriage. This is the Home to Haven podcast. I'm Terrell.
How are you?
And this is my wife, Jen. And yeah.
You okay over there?
I'm doing good.
Okay. What made you say that? My shirt?
You surprised
Really?
me. You surprised me with the shirt.
Well, it's fall. I love fall. It's
threw me
November.
off. Yeah, it threw me off.
The cooler weather.
Yeah.
You prepare for Christmas in like August. So
I do prepare for Christmas in August. That I do.
yeah, you are ahead of the game.
Decorations come out November 1st.
That's right. We are ready to go.
We are ready to go.
Get ready for Christmas, as you like to say. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
It is the most wonderful time of the year. October's my favorite month, but it's definitely the most wonderful time of the year.
Yeah.
It's cold.
You always get happy and
decorations, nog and coffee and cookies.
Right.
And, I love Christmas.
Yeah, cuddling up.
Holidays, football.
Watching the Christmas movies.
We do watch the Christmas movies. So that is one thing that we do. Tip. Free date night. Tip is that Jennifer and I started a family tradition.
Right.
She and I starting, I guess, Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
are we starting it now because of 12 weeks?
Sometimes we start earlier.
Because it's 12 weeks to Christmas.
Yeah.
And so we try to do one Christmas movie a week.
And we're talking about the bad Christmas movies like the Hallmark Channel.
Awful as worse than Hallmark.
Yeah.
like Tubi.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know where he finds them, but he'll have a whole bunch on the screen and I'll just read the synopsis and I get to pick one. And
the rule is whatever one we pick, we have to watch it all the way through.
And there's been some tough ones to get through. But we've made it through and it's fun.
There was one we started and was like, no, this has got to go.
Yeah. It had like literally 4 actors in it. But anyway, it's a fun tradition, brings us together.
Yes, and the air just kicked on, and now we're going to freeze for the next 15 minutes.
And you said Merry Christmas, so here comes the snow.
Here comes the snow. So, communication breakdown, how to fix it. I had a communication breakdown at the beginning of the episode, but we fixed it.
Oh, between me and you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So today we are talking about communication breakdown. So I know you mentioned it earlier. What is exactly a communication breakdown? What does that mean? What does it involve? And what actually causes it? So there can be a lot of different things that cause the communication breakdown, or in other words, the communication isn't getting from one person to the other person.
Love that.
It's not flowing right. The message is not clear.
Ain't getting through.
Something's not getting through.
Ain't clicking.
From one person to the other person.
Right.
But there are a lot of different reasons or causes that communication breakdowns happen. You mentioned that communication breakdowns happen quite frequently.
Right.
So you will probably experience that at some point in your relationship
100%.
On a day-to-day basis.
Why do you think that happens? Or what do you think is the biggest cause of communication breakdowns? I had some today, even dealing with some people. Mm-hmm. I told you about it. I'm like, there's some people involved in stuff that ain't got nothing to do with them.
Right.
And they were trying to bring me into it. I'm like, nope. Not getting me. Why, what causes, what's the biggest thing you think of causes communication breakdowns?
I think there's a lot of different causes. I know one, first and foremost for relationships, a lot of times is just your emotions.
Okay.
So that gets intertwined into everything.
Yeah.
If we want to start right there, typically even emotions such as being stressed or getting frustrated at what somebody else says really can break down how you're actually communicating, but also how that other person is hearing you.
I would say probably that is a killer of communication. I think emotions is definitely, because once you let those emotions take over, you're liable to say something you shouldn't say it the way it shouldn't be said.
Right, exactly.
And it just comes across because now anger or frustration or resentment or whatever that emotion is, or a multiple of emotions are triggering. And now it's just boom, 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 boom. We're firing on all cylinders versus allowing, I don't want to say logic, but just allowing controlled communication.
Right, exactly.
Come through.
Like clear, concise, appropriate communication to flow through. So like you said, emotions within yourself may affect how you're going to communicate. If all of a sudden you're really angry because of something, that will affect possibly your tone,
100%.
your nonverbal language, the actual words you're going to say. You might lace them with some sarcasm. You might put some words in there to maybe try to hurt the other person because
100%.
you're hurt.
Yeah.
So those emotions within you are going to affect how you are communicating. And that's just going to break down the actual message that you're trying to relay, or alter even the message that you're going to relay to the other person.
Yeah, it can really be like a TNT dynamite. Remember in Roadrunner or Looney Tunes, the big red sticks of dynamite? Just imagine that blowing up your relationship and that communication or that particular conversation, and it all goes to kaput because of negative emotions, right? So again, the number one killer of communication breakdowns, or the number one reason, is emotions.
Yeah.
And so again, somebody says something and you feel a certain way. We addressed this before, but just not being so quick to immediately respond. I think one of our tips before in the previous episode was like, stop.
Yeah.
Grandma's advice: think before you speak.
Give yourself a minute.
Give yourself a minute. Don't send the email right away. Hold up on that text. Just hold on. I know you're thumb trigger happy, but you might send something. I guess now that you can unsend it, but they still can see it, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't always get deleted. And why do we need to delete it? Because, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said that.
Oh, my bad.
Now, is there a specific emotion that you think alters our communication the most, or an emotion that I might have that you think is the strongest in breaking down when we have a breakdown in communication?
I probably get frustrated. So if I'm starting to get frustrated, I probably will raise my voice, or I'll probably start talking faster because I get excited. And then you may perceive that as I'm angry, or you may perceive that as a threat, and it's not a threat. And so you may get anxious.
Yeah.
And so now there's anxiety, and then I'm frustrated. And so now we have this pool of
even more emotions,
negative ingredients, right? And so we've got to be wise of that, realize, okay, this is what this is. Let me back this down.
Yeah.
Even, earlier I started the conversation on the podcast laughing because it's funny. I made a joke, and then you responded, and I'm laughing. I'm also laughing because I feel your eyeballs on me.
Yeah, my facial expression. I'm like, what?
Right. So, but that's me.
Yeah. And I was going to say the same thing. For me, I feel like the biggest emotional piece of it, our communication breakdown, has been I'll get hurt, or I feel like I've not lived up to expectations or something.
Okay.
And so I'll just want to cry. And so that really affects the communication if I'm just over here crying and can't respond back to you. So that's a prime example of how emotions get wrapped up into a conversation, and then the communication is completely broke apart.
Yeah, if you're on YouTube, drop in the comments, what do you think is the greatest contributor of communication breakdowns? Do you agree with emotions, or what would you say has been the biggest killer of communication? So number two, what also causes communication breakdowns is my favorite, ineffective listening.
Right.
Okay. So this is where you are just not listening. Someone's trying to say something. Again, remember, I say this all the time, but it's so true. No one is a perfect communicator. No matter how many speeches you give or presentations, no. Right? So they're trying to say something, and you have to give them the grace of what are they trying to say.
Yes.
Okay. They did not, well, sometimes if they did call you stupid, hopefully they're not. And that's a whole nother conversation of, how to deal with that. But, what are they trying to say? What is they're attempting to say? When I was growing up, and when I first was working with my dad early many years ago, I could not see him for maybe a week. And I would walk into the office and he'd say, "Did you brush your hair?" He wouldn't say, "Good morning.
Hey, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. Welcome today." Nothing. Just,
okay.
You brush your hair? And just mess up my whole day.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking he doesn't care. But I had to come to a mature place of saying, that's him. And it wasn't about he not caring about me. He was caring about me by saying, "You didn't brush your hair." And I said, "I didn't brush my hair that day." Right. So it's what is he trying to say? What is he trying to communicate to me?
Right.
What are they attempting to, and weeding through all the other stuff and putting it together so that you get the message.
Right. You're listening for understanding.
Correct.
So the whole point is to try to really hear what they're actually not saying sometimes, but really trying to understand where they're coming from, what their message really truly is.
Let's give you a practical example. We were watching a show yesterday. Love is Blind is all the rage nowadays. And in one of the episodes, one of the couples, he went to go sit on some kind of duck or whatever and hop on it.
Yes.
And what did she say? Like, don't do it?
She actually, before he went to do it, she mentioned, "Hey, I'm not really going to like that if you choose to do it." He mentioned like, "Hey, I'm going to go sit on that duck over there." And she's like, "That's not a good look." She didn't say these exact words.
"Give me the ick."
Yeah, I was going to say she was saying it was going to make her feel uncomfortable.
Right.
He was not going to be that's not an attractive thing for you to do right now. And he didn't care. He didn't listen to that. And he went and got up and did it. And he came back and she was like, "I said I wasn't really feeling that. And I'm not." Like, that was kind of a turnoff.
Right.
And he was like, "You're making a big deal about nothing."
And in between that, like, some other strange woman comes and
there was
she's
another
like,
person.
"I'm going to erase you." And it's like, and he thought nothing of it. So there was a communication breakdown. He was not hearing anything she said.
Correct.
Ineffective listening.
And then he also blamed her for being jealous. So he was like, "Well, you're just mad because you're jealous because this other lady came and did the same thing." And that was not even actually any part of what even the initial conversation was about. So,
so then it kind of moves on to another scene. I guess in between, she writes down some things that is bothering her, doesn't tell him, and he finds it on a piece of paper, and now he's all upset. So again, we have real life scenario of what's happening. So what should he have done? She actually communicated first, "I don't want you to do this."
Yeah, she was trying to say up front, "I'm not comfortable with this situation."
Maybe could she have just said, "Hey, if you do that, that would make me upset." Or, "If you do that, I really don't want you to do that."
Right.
She didn't say those words.
Correct.
And maybe he needed to hear that directly.
Correct.
I don't know if that would have changed anything.
Right.
But we always say what you mean. Don't beat around the bush, lady. Sometimes we want to talk in circles and think we get the message. We don't.
Right.
Men need clear, direct, specific, small, third grade level.
Right.
Break it down for us so we get it. And he should have said and honored, submitted, respected.
Absolutely.
My partner really doesn't want me to do this, even though I want to.
Is it that important that I need to go sit on a duck? Like, no, that's not something to fight over, and stand your ground on in your relationship. But that actually brings us to number 3, which is lack of clarity. So lack of clear, concise messages.
Love it. That will break down communication.
Is going to break down communication. So that was a great example as well.
Okay.
If you are not, like you said, saying exactly what you mean, not hinting at it, not assuming, not thinking they should already know this.
Correct.
They're my husband. They should know what I want to happen, or they should know what I need. No, you need to have the clear, concise messages,
direct,
and not allow the lack of clarity to really mess up that communication.
And that may take time. That may take some prayer. some preparation and a presentation. Ooh, 3 P's. All right. Because you want your message to get received. And so there was, again, going back to a situation I had to deal with earlier today. I said, hey, should I talk to this person about it, or should I talk to this person about this? I don't like confrontation.
Right.
And I'm growing in that. But, because I want to do the right thing, I want to make sure I'm operating in the correct vein. Hey, how should I deal with this?
Yeah.
And so it's so very important, again, not being clear. And so how do you know you're being clear? Ask, did that make sense? Okay. Well, tell me what I meant. Can you try to explain back to me? I want to, and let them know, I want to make sure that you're understanding what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
And have them say it back. I'm not being funny, but can you explain it back to me? I want to make sure we're on the same page.
Right. Or this is what I heard you say.
Yep.
I know we've done that a lot in our conversations, and I'll say, okay, this is what I just heard you say. And you'll say, that's not what I meant, or that's actually not what I said.
Yep.
This is actually what I mean. And so you have to work back and forth and actually get to the actual message that you're trying to get to.
So take, for instance, you're at a restaurant and you give your order. As simple as going to McDonald's. What do? They will repeat your order back to you.
Yes.
And then there's a screen that will show you what you ordered as well. So you auditory confirming and you're visually confirming what you said.
And a lot of times they ask you, is your order correct on the screen?
Right.
To even double, triple check. Yes. And then let's be realistic. You get up to the drive-through. How many times is your order not right? Right?
Correct.
Very common. So it's even those little things that will mess up the communication.
I brought that up so that it's okay to double check.
Yeah.
Is this what you're saying?
Yeah.
Is this what you meant? Again, you don't want, if it's fear, if it's reservation, if it's an internal thing where you're just afraid of conflict or whatever it is, if there's a wall, whatever it is, we want to work through that so that you don't beat around the bush. Don't have implied communication.
100%.
However it looks. There's a scripture, I believe is in Esther 4, where Esther was a queen in the Bible, and she married one of the kings. And before she went in to go talk to him, she prepared herself.
Yeah.
Like she put on her best robes.
Yep.
She fasted and she prayed. Now, not saying you got to do all that to talk to your husband,
Right.
but the point I want to make is that she thought through. It was a big conversation she needed to have. There was a big issue
Absolutely.
that needed to be dealt with
Right.
in her marriage
Right.
that dealt with her people.
Right.
And so because it was that important to her, she prepared. When you have those conversations and it's that important,
Right.
don't just wing it.
Prepare.
Prepare.
Right.
Take time to pray over it and think through it and say, God, prepare the heart of my spouse so that they receive. Pray before you have the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lord, welcome into this time so that there is understanding in his presence. You got to pray some, oceans behind your music, whatever it is, conversation, so that there's an atmosphere set, especially on those touchy conversations. Yeah. If it's that important, if it's that heated, then take those precautions and extreme measures.
Yeah. And pray for God to give you the words that the other person needs to hear, the tone of voice that you need to go into, the way you come about the conversation. Like all those little details are really important. And when you allow the Lord to really lead you and guide you, that's where you want to be. That's where you want to start off at.
100%.
I'll also mention, you said, don't be afraid to ask those clarifying questions. And on the other side of it is don't get defensive when your partner's
100%
asking you, and don't respond with, well, I already told you that. Like, I already told you, I don't need to repeat myself. Well, you know what? Maybe sometimes you do, especially if they're asking you for a good reason. Like they need more clarity. They need more answers. And so really be able to humble yourself and allow that conversation to flow.
Yeah, that's a way to raise a wall. Mm-hmm. Well, I might repeat myself. I don't want to repeat myself. Well, maybe they need to.
Yeah.
Don't get defensive or don't get offended or get ticked off. I said it one time. Well, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe they're not as smart as you.
Right.
everybody isn't a scholar.
Yeah.
So just, again, give your partner grace,
Amen.
right? And work together. We're going to get this thing through.
Yeah.
We're going to get it. It's okay. And maybe the person's frustrated because they're not understanding. But the cheerleader, you know what? It's okay.
Right.
We're going to get through it. We're going to get through this conversation. And I promise you, sweetheart, we're going to understand one another. I'm trying my best.
Right.
And maybe you got to go out on a walk, get some ice cream, whatever it is. But we'll get to it. We'll smash it and run through these last two. You got inconsistent communication. That can be a great breakdown, a catalyst. So if your body language has to match your tone or your words and your face, I'm fine.
Yeah.
No, you're not. Right? That can break down communication. Nothing's wrong with me. Women, sometimes you don't want to, you say the opposite of what you really mean. Yes means no and no means yes. Don't do that.
Right. Also, the nonverbals, when you're just like scrolling on your phone and somebody's trying to talk to you, that's a huge
that'll break it down for sure.
Breakdown cause. There's sometimes you're busy and you may even actually be still at work and you're like actually trying to work, and I'll come in there and try to say something to you and you're on your phone or typing on an email and I can tell you're not listening. So this is not the appropriate time to come to you and ask you a question about dinner or about the kids or something like that.
And one of the things you don't do is you don't say, are you listening to me? Stop what you're doing and pay attention. She'll respect, okay, this dude was into something before I came in. He's at work or he's doing something, working for whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
Let me honor him and respect him. And then once he's finished, I'll look up and she'll say, hey, you got a minute? And I'll say either yes or I'll say, no, not right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Just be respectful about it. It's not, appropriate every single moment of every single day that you can come to your partner with anything.
Yeah.
And so really honor that time and notice the other person's nonverbal cues as well.
And then we know that if she's interrupting me, this is DEFCON 1.
Right.
Something's important. Then I'm going to honor her because I know she's not just going to disturb me for any kind of reason.
Right.
So now, okay, what do you need? You are my priority. This is important.
Paying attention.
What do you need?
Right. Exactly.
Last one
is going to be information overload. Yep. So that is very easily happens these days with busyness, schedules, things going on.
Emails, text, social media,
on,
Twitters,
iPads
tweets.
on, music's on.
Yep.
Or even if somebody just comes at you with like so much, like they're just like talking about all these random things about work, kids, a whole bunch of different things. So obviously information overload, there's a lot going on at once. That's going to cause miscommunications, misunderstandings, and it's going to break down the communication.
100%. So there's ways to get around this. There's a way to have better communication. We want to identify the problem. We know what's causing our breakdown. So now we can fix it.
Right.
Talk through it. And then follow up and make sure like, hey, are we getting better? I'll ask you.
Yeah.
Are we getting better? Are we doing the things? How's our communication? How are you feeling as I talk to you? Provide feedback and keep moving forward. Hope that helped you in some kind of way. Sorry about my laughter at the beginning of the episode, but hopefully
started off in fun.
You got something good. If you did, hit the like and subscribe button, but there's something we have for you to help you better your communication.
That's right. And that is our relationship planning guide. So we have a free download for you. You can grab it today, right now, download it, get it in your hands, and it will walk you through a process of praying it, planning it, and pursuing it. Every month you can map out what you're praying for, how you're going to actually work out the month, plan date nights, plan things that actually put your relationship first and foremost.
True.
So we set those priorities and then the actual action steps that we're taking to pursue those goals.
Get it today, oakhavencompany.com/planner. You'll be so glad you did. This will be a great enhancement to your life, to your relationship, and moving forward. Again, it's absolutely free, costs you absolutely nothing. Download it, take a look at it. I'm sure you will be so thankful and glad you did. oakhavencompany.com/planner. It's in the show notes. It's in the description. Get it today. Don't delay. Tap it. Get it now. Thank you so much for listening and coming alongside us. We are so very grateful and thankful for each and every one of you, however you're listening, however you're watching. Do us a favor also. We would love for you to copy and paste the link. Send it to somebody you think might benefit from this or get blessed by it. We would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for listening, for watching. We'll see you next week. Remember, wisdom builds the house.